Hello everyone, and welcome back to another GIS lecture video. And in this lecture video, I want to continue our discussion on spatial analysis basics by talking about something called CLIP. So we left off talking about buffer, which creates a larger area, or an area in general, from points, lines, and polygons based on a specified distance by offsetting lines and connecting up to form new areas. Now we're going to talk about something that is in some ways the opposite, and we're going to talk about this idea of CLIP. Okay, so before I get into sort of the technical thing that CLIP does, the way that I like to think about CLIP is think about when it's Christmas time and you're making Christmas cookies, and you have the cookie cutter and you're sort of cutting out all the different cookie shapes and you're pulling the cookie pieces out of the big sheet of cookie dough, right? That's basically what CLIP does. CLIP is the cookie cutter, and what you're left with, the thing that you actually care about with CLIP, is what's left over in that big sheet of cookie dough, right? So what does CLIP do? CLIP removes portions of features that overlap another feature. Right. So let's go ahead and let's think of a good example. Let's think about the pool example that we talked about when we talked about buffer, right? So you have your yard, right? So this is your yard, right? It's a polygon. And you know that you have to maintain, right, mow or whatever, the entire area of this polygon. But you also know that you're going to install a pool, right? And once you install that pool, you know that you're not going to have to maintain, right? Let's go the other way so you can actually see the cross-hatching, right? That you're not going to have to maintain the area of the lawn where this pool is, right? So we have our lawn here, our lawn polygon, and then here, right, we have our pool polygon, right? And so what you might be interested in doing is saying, hey, can I just take the pool out of my lawn? Well, absolutely. That's what CLIP will do, right? CLIP will remove the portion of the lawn polygon that is overlapped by the pool polygon. Okay, so let's say that we run CLIP, right? So we run CLIP, okay? And we run CLIP, we end up with this, right? We have the same lawn, but now we have a hole in the middle where the pool was, right? This is a hole, right? Where the pool originally was. And that's because we clipped, right? We removed that portion of this polygon where the pool was, right? And so what you end up with is you end up with a polygon that has a hole. All right, is a polygon that has a hole. Or, depending on the situation, it could have multiple holes. CLIP is pretty straightforward, right? You just, again, think of it like the Christmas cookie cutter, right? The pool in this case was the cookie cutter. The lawn polygon was the whole sheet of cookie dough. And once we run CLIP, what we're left with is the whole sheet of cookie dough minus the area where the cookie was. Okay? So I want to look at two other examples just to sort of give you an idea of how clip actually works. Okay? Well, actually we'll look at three. So let's look at example one. Let's say that we have that same lawn from before. Right? You just bought a new house. You have the same lawn from before. We haven't installed the pool yet. Right? So this is our lawn. And you decide you want a pool, right? But you also want a shed and a patio, right? So we'll combine the pool, the shed, and the patio into a feature class, right? A data set called lawn features. Right, so now we have three things that we're worrying about instead of just one. So instead of just a pool, we now have lawn features, which contain a pool, a shed, and a patio. And we're going to ask that same basic question, right? What happens when we remove the area from these lawn features from the lawn to figure out how much lawn we have left that we actually have to care for? Right, so if we run clip, right, what we get when we do that, hopefully everybody can already kind of guess what happens here. But we have our lawn again, and we've cut out the portion where the patio was. We've cut out the portion where the shed was, or is, I should say, and we've cut out the portion where the pool is because we don't have to worry about those anymore in terms of lawn care, right? And so what we have left is our lawn again, with these holes, right? I did not mean for it to look like a face, but hey, we'll live with it, right? And so again, right, what we've done is we've gone from this whole polygon with no, or not whole, sorry, we've gone from this contiguous polygon, right? There's no breaks in the area here, to this new polygon where we've removed those three lawn features. And the key thing I want you to take away from this example is that you can have multiple things be clipped at the same time. Okay? Again, right, you can have multiple things, you can end up with multiple holes. It's not strictly just one. You can do this with multiple features at the same time. Let's look at another example. Okay? In this example, you have your lawn, right? But then your neighbor has a legal dispute with you and says, hey, my lawn is actually, it's not used red, right? Your neighbor's lawn says, hey, my lawn actually goes like this. Right, so this is your neighbor's lawn. Right? So there's a dispute here over this area, and your neighbor files a lawsuit. You go to small claims court, and it turns out that he was right, and that this portion right here, which I'm going to highlight in orange, right, this portion right here, this orange portion, right, this orange portion actually does belong to your neighbor. And so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So what we can do is we can run clip, right, we can clip the lawn with the neighbor's lawn. And what do we get? Well, we get our lawn back, right? Minus the portion where our neighbor's lawn was. Okay. So what I want you to get out of this example is that you can clip along the edge and cut out the edges, right? It doesn't always have to make a hole. This is the key thing. It does not always have to make a hole. It certainly can make a hole, but you can also cut away the edges of the geometry like this, okay? And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because this is another important function of clip, right? And it's important to understand that this edge overlap here will still clip away those portions. And you can think of this again, just like when you're making Christmas cookies or cookies in general, right? When you have the dough stretched out and you start pushing closer and closer and closer to the edge trying to get all the cookies, and you have that last little pine tree cookie and you're like, oh, screw it, I don't need to have the trunk, and you just cut it and there's that little gap in the edge, right? You can perforate the edge and just cut out pieces of the edge as well. Okay? So hopefully that made sense. The last example I want to talk about is, let's say, again, you have your lawn, right? You have your lawn, and you find out after you've started to mow your lawn that this property is actually part of a much larger corporation that owns your property and 4 of the neighbors' properties, and they're actually going to tear it down to build a strip mall, right? So what's happening here is your property is completely covered, right? Let's actually make a note of this, right? Your lawn is completely covered by your neighbor's lawn, or by, not your neighbor, by the corporation. By the corporation parcel, right? They are showing that they completely own all of your land, okay? So what would happen if we were to run clip, where we clip from our lawn that part that is overlapped by the corporation parcel? We would end up with nothing. Nothing left, right? So you can actually erase the entire geometry. That's what I want you to come away with from this example, right? Is if the clipping feature, the thing that's actually the cookie cutter, right? If the cookie cutter overlaps the entire thing you're trying to clip from, you end up with nothing, right? And this makes sense, again, thinking about it like a cookie cutter, right? Imagine you had your dough rolled out and your parent walked in and they had a 6-foot long Christmas tree cookie cutter, just a ridiculous size. And they're like, we're gonna make this, right? They plop the cookie cutter over the dough. The dough doesn't come anywhere near reaching the edges, so they're like, screw it, we're just gonna bake the dough as it is, right? You're taking everything, right? If the clipping feature overlaps the entire thing you're trying to clip, you end up with nothing because you take the whole thing away, okay? So hopefully that made sense. The idea that clip removes portions of geometry that overlap with another feature. You can take out holes from the middle, you can take out pieces from the edge, or you can take out the entire thing if you have a complete overlap. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.